Hey everyone, I'm rather incoherent, and this is the City of Archives. There's not a lot that's happened between scenarios, no interludes this time. We've chosen to resist captivity, thus the Yethian observer that's already in the victory display. And we're Yethians this time, which for Amanda isn't a big change from normal, but it does hurt Mandy's stat line quite a lot. Let's go talk about the upgrades I made coming into this scenario. The Eye of Truth is a card that I absolutely love, but very rarely makes it into decks. Especially decks like this series, where I've been forced into buying Ancient Stones, Occult Lexicon, Archive of Conduits, and everything I wanted has been delayed. But the Eye of Truth is a sick card. It's really, really good at what it does. It does something fairly unique. It's essentially recursive ward of protection. It's a very, very cool card, and it's especially relevant in this scenario, since we don't really have good stats with which to defend ourselves. I've also upgraded Perception. Deduction would almost always be upgraded by this point in any other campaign, but in this campaign, I've been crushing the Doom Clock, even though I'm discarding my deduction most of the time. Because with Double Seeker and both of them being very good Clover Seekers, you just don't really need them to push past the tempo the game expects you to have. I still want to upgrade them, it just seems less important than the defensive value of the Eye of Truth. And coming over to Amanda, you can see that I wanted to do the same thing, but I need the second red flip, man. It's just too important to what I'm doing, and it's actually even more helpful in this scenario than the Eye of Truth would be. Also, I'm poisoned. But those decks are more complete than I originally planned them to be. I'm pretty sure that both of the decks I started with my plans for had less experience in this, and I wasn't planning on ever having this much. So the fact that I have 2 more entire upgrade phases is kind of wild. Both of these characters are going to have double Studious by the final scenario, and probably Observed too. It's just going to be ridiculous. Anyway, let's get into it. Agenda 1A, City of the Great Race, 5 Doom, we cannot play item assets or item weaknesses. And Act 1A is a 4 clue threshold to progress to the next one. Yethian observers are aloof currently. There are no lingering rules from the return to set, just changes in the setup. Unfortunately, Pendant and the Queen, as sick as it is a unique item asset, so it doesn't exist in this timeline. Which makes Segment Mnemonics kind of a lot worse. Unfortunately, it looks like my table suddenly wants to play on Tabletop Sim again, so let's do our mulligans and get into the game. None of that is what we want to see. Get it out, draw 5 new ones. That's much better. Over here for Mandy's hand, that's kind of insane. Expedition Journal obviously isn't, and like just Eye of Truth Mr. Rook is insane, I guess, but it's still really, really good. Yeah, that's a hand and a half, alright. When I get back to this after playing, I think we're playing Shattered Aeons with my table right now, we can go ahead and stomp through this real quick. Dear God. That is a fucking mulligan, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think we'll be needing Pendant of the Queen today. Alright, I'm back and I'm ready to play, but before I get started, I should have spent 1 medicine after Boundary Beyond. Mandy should have gotten poisoned, I just didn't realize it happened. Before we continue on, this hand would be absolutely sick if I were Amanda and put cards under me or could play item assets, but instead it's just kind of good. I'm gonna go first as Mandy to see what this Mr. Rook is doing. I'm gonna spend 3 resources, tap the Mr. Rook, see what's at the top of my deck. It's my weakness. Good jokes. Let's see what we get. It is the Keeper of the Great Library, who fails to spawn because his location is not in play yet. So that's good at least. With Perception and Induction over here, it seems like investigating and using Practice Makes Perfect is very likely to work very well for us. We have Perception here, so we take the Perception. As I said, we take the Perception. And we commit the deduction from Amanda. We use our ability to go from 2, 5, 8, 9. That is -1 or -3, so I'll take both clues. It was only -1, and draw 2 cards off the Perception as well as the Perception itself. And last action, I'm going to leave the room. I could work on taking this parlay test to remember that I interviewed a subject, and we'll probably do that eventually. But the reason I'm not doing it yet is because it does give an encounter card in the set like Peril and Surge, something like that. So I just want to avoid making the scenario harder for as long as I can. Over here for Amanda, I'm going to be spending 1 action following Mandy out guaranteed. I'm also going to Cryptic Research myself guaranteed. And again, Occult Lexicon is an absolutely fantastic card that I cannot play right now. I'm going to move and then double my Perception on whatever Investigate check I think. That sounds like a plan. Yeah, I move to this location. It is the other interview room. It is 1 shroud, 2 clues, victory 1, and after I enter, take a head 3 test. Take 1 aware for each point you fail by. Forced rotting remains, huh? I can practice makes perfect looking for Promise of Power this, but that's kind of it. Unrelenting Prophesy, there's enough hits that it's not necessarily wrong. Yeah, I do that. I'm not happy about it. I wanted to use this on a deduction. Actually, I'm not doing it. I'm going to use it for deduction, or looking for deduction in a second. It's only a one-trial location, though. Who even cares? Fine, I use it for this. We got Eye of Truth, which is pretty damn good. That puts us at 6. We want to make sure this goes through, so I double it. -2, this comes to hand, and we pass, no issues. Lastly, I'm going to investigate 2 to 1, 5 to 1, and try not to hit autofail. That is -3, so I'll only draw 1 card, but I will still get 1 card and 1 clue. That's it for us. No enemies, upkeep phase. Beta is nice to see. Cryptic Research is great to see. 1 of 5 Doom. That was our first turn? Jesus. Felt like we did a lot. Obscuring Fog and Amanda's location is a little bit lame. Offer of Power is incredibly scary, but thankfully we can just easily take 2 Horror on these characters and get rid of it. We don't have to put 2 Doom on the agenda. If I double Perception, I go from 2 to 5 to 8 against 3. So let's start with that on Amanda's turn. I'm going to play Perception, double it, test 8 to 3, and really hope to avoid the autofail, which I do. I get rid of this Obscuring Fog, I take the last clue, and I draw 2 cards off the Perception. I will always be spending 1 action to move back. That's just happening no matter what. I forgot to reveal Halls of the Goddess. They're all the same location. They're all 3 shroud, 1 clue with a lightning bolt to discard a card and move to another Halls of the Goddess. I think I'm just going to play Veda Wistly for Soak. It doesn't feel the best, but it's not bad. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play Veda Wistly for Soak. And I'll tap her Lightning Bolt to look at the top part of the encounter deck. Enemies can be discarded for damage, and treacheries can be discarded for horror. He fails to spawn anyway, I'll put him back. She's just a really, really good card. I haven't gotten to play her yet, but she's kind of insane, and I probably should have played her at some point that I didn't. Over here for Mandy, we're kind of hurting for money. It might be correct to investigate here with a double Perception just to crack the case for resources. I actually agree with that plan. I'm going to use this, tap my ability, investigate 8 to 3. 0, draw 2 cards, crack the case on Amanda to give all 3 resources to Mandy. Of course, we also take the clue. I'm just not particularly concerned with that. That's not why I'm doing this. And now that I've done this, I can afford to play Milan, who is going to help us tremendously with getting through these checks and generating resources, because for once, we're not a 5-book seeker. Next, I'm going to move up. Oh, I forgot to check this location. Well, I guess that's Amanda's job now. We're able to advance the act right now, but it doesn't really seem relevant to do so. I'm going to wait until the start of a round to do so, just to try to discard more enemies, like that one I just saw, for instance. I've been debating for a while what my last action was. It was investigate, play Milan, move. I've finished my turn. I don't know what I thought I did, but we're good. Upkeep phase. Promise of Power is great. Whispers from the Deep, not so much. And unfortunately, we know that Whispers from the Deep... Oh, wait! Whispers from the Deep does nothing. I'm not Amanda. Amanda Sharp's not here. This is the softest weakness in the world right now. Okay. I was originally very upset, and then I realized it literally doesn't do anything. The fog is everywhere, apparently. This location doesn't matter, though, so it's fine. And start the round and begin Amanda's turn, or begin Mandy's turn, rather, and advance the act. And when we do so, we're going to put into play a lot of locations, as well as the Yithian Custodian. And the way I'm going to figure out which random location he's at is it's just whoever's on top after shuffling. It's the Yithian Orrery that he'll live with. Okay, so I've set up the new full map of the scenario. The Yithian Custodian's up here at the Orrery. And first action, Mandy's going to walk into the Laboratory of the Great Race. It's a 2-shroud, 2-clue location. If we get all the clues on it, we can test 3 foot to remember that we activated the device, and if we fail, place a clue back on the location. For now, I'm just going to keep moving. I'm going to head over to the Yithian Orrery where the Custodian is. It's a 4-shroud, 2-clue location with Victory 1. Double action to remember the year. And a bit more hand size while I'm here, which is neat, but not super relevant, I don't think. I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to use this Practice Makes Perfect to see what's in my top 9. Deduction and nothing else, but Deduction is the best card I could possibly event, so I'm not too beat up about it. I'm also going to commit this Enraptured. Right now, we're only at 5 to 4, 6 if we double something. So we might have to Promise of Power this. I Promise of Power this, and I double the Promise of Power to test it 1,000,000. This goes away, this goes away. Mr. Rook loses a charge when I use him, and then gets it back from Enraptured. Deduction goes away. No, it goes to hand because it's from Practice Makes Perfect. And I take both blues. I also gain a resource from Milan. That'll be it for Mandy. I think I'm going to be splitting up completely and just doing my own thing on both characters. Let's go ahead and use Veda Whitsley, see what's at the top of the encounter deck. That's a little bit spooky, but we have Eye of Truth on both characters, so we're just going to attach an Eye of Truth to that. It's not a big deal. What I'm going to do for Amanda is I'm going to play Cryptic Research and draw 3 cards. Discard my weakness. Oh, you can't choose to discard a weakness, though. Even though it's not just a card in my hand now, I still can't choose to discard it. That makes this plan a little bit worse. Anyway, I'll gain 3 resources from Cryptic Writings, apparently. I'll just shortcut then. Shortcut and move. Go to this Halls of Nakatis. Go down. That does maximize the distance between me and Mandy. I'm going to go to this Halls of Nakatis and then go up. This way, if Mandy does need to get to me for some reason, she'll be able to get there. At the Great Library, we can see 2 Shroud, 4 clues. Spend player clues, possess 3 book, and decipher the information. And at the end of the round, we'll add clues back to the location. Does Amanda currently have 2 clues? She doesn't. Gross. I would very much like to spend clues from a different location instead of getting clues here, but it looks like that's not really an option right now. I'm actually just going to leave. I don't have, like, perceptions or anything I can double here to meaningfully improve my hand. Getting these clues is a waste of my time. I'd rather spend clues from somewhere else, so I'm just going to move twice. The Towers of Nakatis is a 2 Shroud 4 clue victory 2 location, and it has Glimpse the Unthinkable level 1 as its ability. Discard any number of cards from your hand, shuffle your discard pile into your deck, draw cards equal to 1 plus what you discarded. But that'll be my turn, unfortunately. I've just moved 3 times and played a shortcut. That's it for us. No enemies, upkeep phase. Another weakness for Amanda, and another Mr. Rook for Mandy. Substantially better over there. 3 of 5 Shroud, still can't play my Idol cards. Rotting Remains isn't a big deal. I commit Eye of Truth to it. That already puts us at 6-3. I technically don't need to double this. I could commit, like, Unrelenting Prophesy, draw 2 cards to replace these. I don't dislike that. It maximizes my chance of autofill, though, which I really don't want to do on an Eye of Truth check. I want to just click the button and be like, it's +3, it's fine. But then when I pull -5, I'm going to feel like the biggest idiot in the world. Also, do we have curses? We have 1 curse. I think my hand doesn't quite work for investigating right now. After much deliberation, I'm going to go with the Unrelenting plan, seal +1/0/0, commit Prophesy as well, putting us at +7 9-3, but the bag is pretty shit. We're fine. Eye of Truth gets Rotting Remains attached to it. I'm just going to put all of the things we've done like this right here. We're going to release these cards, draw after instead of before, like I always do on Amanda. And yeah, our hands largely stayed the same. Committing those cards didn't make us any worse. Over here for Mandy, we have Gythian Presence. If there's a Gythian enemy at my location, I cannot investigate or trigger action abilities on encounter cards, including this one, and I can choose and discard 2 cards to get rid of it. Well, one of those cards is already available. It does specify enemies, so the Custodian is not a problem. Let's see if Mr. Rook wants to make our next action more clear. Going to search the deck with Mr. Rook, into resources. It might be Archive of Conduits. I could just grab something to discard, like a Segment of Onyx, since I can't make the Pendant and the Queen in this scenario. We do have to start fighting in a couple of turns. Maybe I grab a Cult Lexicon. I'm going to grab the Archive of Conduits. It's not the best, but it's fine. I'm going to go first on Mandy. He needs to test 3 book to be dealt with, and we don't really have cards that do that right now. I'm going to play Archive of Conduits as my first action. Immediately burn a Leyline to heal for 2 and draw 2 cards as my second action. And we still haven't solved the problem of not having a good committable card, which is unfortunate. I can play Cryptic Research and keep digging. I think I'd rather just toss this Segment of Onyx and Astounding Revelation to discard Gythian Presence now. I'm not thrilled about that play, but it seems like the right thing to do. I really dislike missing out on doubles, though. Over here for Amanda, we have yet more weaknesses clogging up our hand, which are going to become a serious problem later on in this scenario. I'm going to play Unrelenting, Investigate, sealing the good tokens. We're at 3-2. At 4-2, we're still not looking great because we're failing on the skull. So there's no reason to double this, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a good thing we didn't double it. And once again, I forgot to draw when I played this. I don't know why, I just don't do Unrelenting, right? Dream Enhancing Serum isn't doing much now, but it is still going to do a lot later. So I think I will spend 3 resources playing Dream Enhancing Serum. Let's tap Beta Whitsley. There's no reason not to do that. Top card of the encounter deck is Frozen in Fear. Nah. Frozen in Fear is not the sort of thing I want to deal with because it attacks me in action even if I pass it. So I'm just going to toss it instead of trying to put an Eye of Truth on it. Which Amanda can't even do herself. Mandy would have to come meet her. Which means I need to put a Horror on Beta. Dream Enhancing Serum is an item. I cannot play it, unfortunately. Let's wind the clock back. The same is true for Relic of Aegis, which actually should have been set aside because it's unique and I just didn't realize it was in my deck. Cool, we've got more Dream Enhancing Serum. Wow, this sucks. This is just a handful of cards I literally cannot play efficiently. I think I'll commit Obscure Studies. Just double it and take the investigation check. Not thrilled about it, but it's acceptable. 8-2. Take one of the clues. God, I wish I could just play out item assets. I have to wait one more turn, I think. 2 more turns. Amanda's just fumbling over here. This is not pretty. This is not pretty at all. I thought Amanda's a really skill-based character. She's going to be great here. This hand makes me reconsider that statement, at least at the start. I think I'm just going to draw a card and discard the Enhancing Serum. It seems like the right thing to do. That's it for us. No enemies, upkeep phase. I've really started just using this for upkeep Mythos. I don't even use the other ones, because those are the two where it keeps me straight on what I've been doing. Anyway, over here we're discarding this Dream Enhancing Serum. We finally hit Lab Assistant. Over here we're fine. 4 of 6 Doom, or 4 of 5 Doom rather. Evil cards. This is the one where we would take Horror and gain a Surge when we draw it. But because we're not taking that test earlier, we're not going to have to suffer those penalties. I cannot take draw actions. I have to test 2 Brain to get rid of it. Well, draw actions don't include anything I do other than actually drawing cards, so I think I'll just be leaving that there. Like, I have to physically press this draw 1 button as my action for this to do anything, so I just don't care. Over here for Mandy, though, Rotting Remains. Well, I get +4 to that, putting me at 6-3. Unfortunately, since I'm not committing the Eye of Truth is committing itself. I can't use my ability to double it. So I'm just testing it +3, but that's still pretty good for someone with only 2 on their stat. And in fact, it's the number to beat the skull. Thanks, Eye of Truth. That's it for the Mythos phase. Let's take Amanda's turn first, because I have no idea what it looks like, and I'm very interested to see. Draw 2 more cards, increase our hand size. We've got some Ready Loved Men. We have a deduction now. I would have liked to duplicate that with Practice Makes Perfect, but alas. I think I'll just be playing a Red Gloved Man now. That would kill Veda, unfortunately, because I haven't been able to buy a Charisma yet. Let's use Veda's ability and look at the top card of the deck. It's Crypt Chill. I think I'm going to toss the Crypt Chill. It's not, like, a great thing to do. But the flip side is that if I keep Crypt Chill there, I can't use anything to get rid of it, so it just kills Veda. No reason not to toss it. I'm looking at Deduction, Promise of Power, double the Promise of Power, Wizards in the Deep, and investigating at 1,000,000 to 2. I don't like using Deduction level 2 on a 2-shroud location, but at some point I'm just crippling myself trying to save deductions, and this is the right thing to do. I don't know that I actually want to use this Wizards in the Deep, though. I'll have to redraw it relatively soon, and the hand size matters less now that I've gotten this Lab Assistant. So I think I just do this, 12-2, just on autofill. Easy game. I forgot to add a curse. This only hurts me. I will take all 3 clues. And last action, I'll move on. Now that I have these clues, I can actually come up here and perform this check. And that's going to be much, much better than trying to get the clues from this location, which was just as difficult as here, but has no purpose. Over here for Amanda's turn, we want the Custodian. I don't have anything good to commit for the Custodian check. Unfortunately, I can only commit Enraptured to go up +2. So I think I'll Cryptic Research and not feel the best about it, but it seems right. I haven't used my second Perception, which means if I Cryptic Research again, we guarantee hit Perception off of Rook. But our hand size is so big that once we leave this location, we'll just have to discard everything. I'm going to believe that I don't hit the 2 out of 11, and I actually hit Perception here. Nice, very good. Oh wait, did I hit Occult Revelation? I did hit Occult Evidence, nice. Do I even care about that? No, I don't. I'll take Astounding Revelation instead. Forgot to check the research specs for a second now. I don't believe I need the resources. So I'm going to put a secret on Mr. Rook. Take this Perception, commit it to this skill test, double it for 3, 6, 8-3. Let's see how it goes. 6-3, pass. So I'll draw 2 cards, put 1 clue on this man, and I believe we only need 2 to finish him off. That is in fact the case. I actually cannot even play these segments of Onyx. They're just in my hand taking up space. I can commit an Expedition Journal, which is just 2 book and nothing else to be up 2. I would like to go higher than that, and Raptured is up 3. Up 3 is okay. -2, I didn't fail, have another Secret Mr. Rook. And I think that means I get control of the Custodian. Yep, I take control, get these clues out of here. He's not an ally slot, thankfully. What's he do? Because I control the Custodian at the start of the investigation phase, everyone's going to draw 1 card. And he's also one of our 8 little mini objectives towards the bottom, and Investigator controls the Custodian. Unfortunately, that leaves me with an awkward number of actions to do this double action to remember a thing. And it also leaves me with like literally no playable cards, because I want to bring my hand size down for the next phase. I guess I shouldn't have done this, and I should have double actioned instead, but then I'd be discarding these cards. There's just not a clean way to finish off this turn, I guess. I might just gain a resource, because I'll need them later for Blood Rights, probably. Yeah, I'm going to gain a resource. There's just not a relevant thing to do at the end of this turn. Upkeep phase, my leg broke, so I don't have to discard a card, which is in a roundabout way a good thing. Crack the case is seeming kind of irrelevant, to be honest. 5 Doom, advance the agenda. We all search the top 9 of our deck for up to 2 item assets and draw them. That's kind of wild. And then we shuffle the deck, of course. We're also able to play item assets now. We shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. And we've already got the Custodian, so we're good. So we're searching our whole deck for both these characters. There are no item assets left in Amanda's deck, like you do. But in Mandy's deck, I'm pretty sure I have both Ancient Stones left. I do. So that's pretty good. Our new agenda has a 7 Doom threshold, and our max hand size is reduced by 2, so we need to get some of this garbage out of our hands. Unfortunately, that means that Mandy is definitely not using her ability this turn unless she hits it during the Mythos phase. Locked door goes here, thankfully. That's actually very helpful. And Rotting Remains. Again, testing at +3. Get it out. Thanks, Eye of Truth. Eye of Truth actually didn't even matter that time. I'm going to get a little counter going, I want to say. Okay, I'm going to keep updating this as the campaign goes. I'm sure I'm going to forget all sorts of things, but I am really interested to see how many times Eye of Truth does something for us. And a lot of the time, it'll be sort of misleading. It'll be not past 1 Rotting Remains, but preventing me from having to commit a bunch of shit in my hand to Rotting Remains. I've been looking at this Mandy turn for so long that I honestly can't make sense of what I'm supposed to be doing. I just can't get these fucking cards out of my hand. I'm also supposed to be using a double action to get out of this location someday. I'm accepting a lot of discards, I think. I think I'm accepting like a discard of Crack the Case, both segments of Onyx, and more. Because I have to do this double action to remember this location. And the way I'm going to be doing that is just putting very large resource icons next to any locations I've done. So I guess I'll put one on top of the Custodian too. And to minimize discards, I'll be playing Ancient Stones instead of the Lexicon this turn, because the Lexicon does replace itself and doesn't actually get out of my hands. And then we'll figure out our discards in a hot second. For Amanda's turn, I think I'll just be moving up here. I'll tap Beta, see what's on the top of the deck. What do you even do? It looks like he just dies to Blood Rights and gives me a victory. I'll leave him there. For Amanda's turn, I'm going to walk up. I will need 4 resources next turn. That's not even remotely an issue. I'm going to play out Occult Lexicon, Dream Diary. And that'll be Amanda's whole turn. No enemies, upkeep phase. Shortcut for Amanda doesn't matter much. She's good on hand size as a lab assistant. But over here, we have to work this out. We are at a location that gives us +2 hand size, thankfully, to mitigate how bad this is. These segments aren't going to get to stick around. As much as I would like this Crack the Case, it doesn't seem necessary. I'm not happy about this, but it is likely what we're doing. Okay, Mythos phase, 1 of 7 Doom, and Evil cards. Getting the Observer here is going to be fine. And Frozen Feral Mandy isn't something I want to see, but it does get an Eye of Truth out of my hand, so that's nice. I'm going to go first on Amanda. We're going to blood right this man for 2. Are there cards that I want to discard in this hand? Not really. I'm actually going to blood right him for 3 to get more cards to discard. I have to discard 2 of them now, though. Crack the Case can go, and Prophesy can go. That'll be 2 damage. And then I'm going to blood right again for 2 and shuffle this one back in. Deep Knowledge can go. And the last discard's actually really hard because my hand is mostly weaknesses. It's Shortcut. I don't like it, but it's Shortcut. And this man is dead in 2 actions and no test. Also 4 resources, but we don't talk about that here. Last action, I play Lab Assistant. Whoops, that costs money, not gives you money. It gives you cards, though. That's what my brain was doing. Unfortunately, this is a turn that Mandy wanted to move. So we will be paying this action tax on Frozen in Fear. Not happy about it. I guess there's no reason not to use our Mr. Rook and draw a card out of our tiny deck. Hey, it's actually timed out correctly, too, because Occult Evidence is still in here. I hadn't actually thought about that. So, Promise Power to hand, Occult Evidence to hand, and Occult Evidence will pick up a clue immediately. Actually, let's grab Shortcut instead. Shortcut's very clearly the correct choice. I'm going to shortcut into the next location, because dear God, it better have clues. It doesn't really have clues. 3 Shroud, 2 clues, victory 1. It tests 4 Fists to attempt to retrieve a valuable organ. +1 difficulty for each clue here, and if you succeed, remember that you dissected an organ. I am going to investigate here, though. I'm going to commit a deduction. That's only 4 to 3, so I need more than that, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm going to Ancient Stone and double it with this to go 8 to 3. Star draws me a card. That's actually not that good. It means that I don't get to cycle this other deduction. I guess I never was, though, so it's fine. These get discarded, and we take both clues. End of the turn, I have to test Frozen in Fear. I commit Eye of Truth, realize that I probably should have saved this for Eye of Truth, because now I'm only testing at +3. Committing Promise Power to this isn't the worst thing in the world, actually. I'm just going to test at +3 and not get -5. Like, how hard is that? Yeah, easy. -2. Frozen in Fear is gone, but it's not going back into the deck. It's getting set aside with Eye of Truth. So now Frozen in Fear and Rotting Remains have both been essentially crippled. Alright, so that's it for us. Upkeep phase. We're good on hand size here because of these Lab Assistants. Over here, we're not going to get on hand size or on horror. We are at 8 of 6 cards. We have to discard something. Occult Evidence is definitely going. Is it Cryptic Research? Is that the worst card in my hands? This is a really hard discard. I'm not going to need to get that many more clues. There's only 2 locations left, really. So I'm actually going to toss the deduction, like you do in Seekers only. Anyway, Mythos phase, 2 of 6 Doom and Evil cards. Crypt Chill, we unfortunately do not have anything to deal with this. But also, Beta dying isn't the worst thing in the world. I can Practice Makes Perfect the 1 card left in my deck. It's probably not helpful, so I'm just going to take and fail the tap. That still fails. Oh wait, no, it's +2. Okay. Fine. That's neat, I guess. I test 5 heads. For each one you fail by, remove the top card of your deck into the game. There are fewer than total 10 cards in your hand, deck, and discard pile. You are driven insane. How do you ever get there? How many times do you have to draw Lost Humanity before this kills you? That seems so irrelevant. And your hand, deck, and discard pile is a pool of like 35 cards at minimum. How do you remove 25 cards from game in one scenario? What is this? There are a lot of good cards that I don't want to remove from the game. So I might Eye of Truth and double it. Just because it's really annoying. But if I do that, I can't make these tests. Yeah, it's fine. Let's remove stuff from the game. Glad I didn't commit anything. Wow. Okay. I lose a Crack the Case, a Deduction, a Perception, a Cryptic Research, and a Practice Makes Perfect. I'm glad I didn't commit to the Cryptic Research plan now. That would have sucked. That brings us to our turn. And let's go with Amanda first. She needs to do a 3-book test and spends 2 clues to even attempt it. By default, I have no real benefit here. I should have been drawing Essence of the Dreams, which means I should have been discarding more cards during upkeep. I guess it's this cryptic writings that I just drew, but I want to commit the cryptic writings like right now, so that doesn't seem right. It's gonna be this cryptic writings. I'm gonna use promise of power here on this test to guarantee it. I'm gonna double it, putting us at 11. That puts us at 10 to 3, so this should be pretty easy. That'll teach me to talk shit. I'm gonna use Veda's ability because she's about to die. Rotting Remains has been Eye of Truth, so I don't care. Especially considering who's drawing it, because the red gloved man is drawing it. I'm setting book head to 6. I'll actually adjust it this time to make it easier to remember what's going on. And then I'm going to investigate, or take the test again, at +3, +5. Easy game. So we've done this one as well now. And I'm going to start walking the other way. That's it for Amanda. For Mandy, we have some tests to take as well. Four Fist is a big ass, but I can throw away Promise of Power on it. The only thing that beats that is -5 with a curse. I can't really afford to commit more in case of that. Squid, easy game. We have done this one as well. And also, we should have advanced immediately, I think, just now before I did this. We no longer have to perform the task, but we should do it, otherwise things will be bad. For being told to advance immediately, this doesn't seem to matter. Does this one? Yes, the Githian Observers have Hunter now. We also have the action to spend a clue to draw 2 cards instead of 1. Okay, I've just looked up how this ability works, where you spend 1 clue to draw 2 cards instead of 1, and if your hand exceeds your maximum hand size, draw 1 additional card. There's actually a dev clarification. If you draw 2 cards and that puts you over your hand size, and originally you weren't, that does count, you draw an additional card. So nothing changes, we can still do all the stuff we did. These clues are going to be very relevant later on when we're trying to get out of here. We're currently at 1, 2, 3, 4 of our 6 goals. Getting up to 8 really doesn't help in any way. Next action, I'm going to move here with my broke leg. And I need to get this clue out of here. We're currently at 3 to 2, which is nowhere near good enough. I commit Perception. That's 6 to 2. That is good enough. Skull is -1 right now because I committed that Perception. I'll draw 2 cards. They weren't the cards I wanted, but it'll be fine. I take this clue. And we're very nearly done. Anyway, that's it for us. No enemies, upkeep phase. Someday there will be enemies. The Red Blood Man takes a horror when I cycle my deck. Nice astounding your relations, dog. I'll discard one of them. 3 of 7 Doom and Evil cards. Rotting Remains, you say? Oh no. Not only do I not fail, but if I did, the Red Blood Man would take the damage anyway, and it wouldn't have mattered. I'm not even going to count that one, even though it technically matters. The Keeper of the Great Library. I believe that's this location. It is. Where is what year it is? We have realized what year it is, so this man is no longer aloof. Instead, he's a hunter. He's also not worth victory, so I'd rather just not deal with it if at all possible. And for Mandy's evil card, we're going to get the other one. Okay. Mandy might just walk in and explode them both with Bloodright's Ancient Stones, but we also might never deal with them. It's hard to say. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is have Amanda go down to do the last wing. Mandy's going to start setting up to get Bloodrights in play and just kill everything with the Ancient Stone. Let's take Amanda's turn first. We're going to walk down, finally reveal this location for real. Then we're going to walk to one of these two. For the life of me, I don't remember what the difference is. Oh, they connect to each other, I think. Don't know why I didn't put this connection down. The Alien Conservatory is a 2-shroud, 2-clue location, and while I'm here, my hand size is 2 lower. Test 1 head. If you succeed, test 2 foot. If you succeed, test 3 book. If you remember, you know what? We'll do something else. I go to the next location. I believe I moved 3 times now. Once, twice, 3 times. Didn't play any shortcuts, so yeah, that's my whole turn. What's this one tell me to do? 5 shroud, 2 clues, victory 1. I can discard my cards. If I have no cards in hand, I can remember that you read about Earth. Alright, cool. This one's way more up my alley. I like this one. I do have to get rid of my weaknesses to do it, though. That's fine. Mandy has to spend some time killing these dudes anyway. I guess she doesn't have to. We could leave much earlier if things went well, but that's not happening. On Mandy's turn, I'm going to spend 2 resources, play Occult Lexicon, because we're going to need this. What's this test? 3 foot, and if I fail, I'm putting a clue down. That's not a problem. I don't want to Eye of Truth this test. I'm going to tap Mr. Rook. It's probably going to fail, and that's fine. 9th card, Shocking Discovery, like you do. our evil card is. The Alien Conservatory is... Oh, it's this one Amanda was just in. Have you read about Earth or saw a familiar specimen? We've realized what year it is. We've dissected an organ. We have found the process, and we're friends with the custodian. But we have not done those things, so this is still aloof. We're good. I'm going to do what I was originally planning on doing. I discard this Mr. Rook for a new, less effective Mr. Rook. And I use this Mr. Rook instead. Let's spend the action for it. To find Promise of Power. And then we're going to use that Promise of Power immediately and double it to test at 10-3 on this test. Curse, -3, that's still a pass. Thank you, Mr. Rook, for eventually getting us there. We've activated the device. For a second I was worried that I had just turned this man on, but we haven't. We're at 5 of 6, we're almost ready to go. We do need to get more cards though. Over here my hand size is actually still 8, that's kind of wild, but let's play it in the correct order. Enemy phase, these keepers of the Great Library are going to start hunting for us. This man is still aloof, he's not going to do anything, so upkeep phase. This deduction's actually really good. Dream Enhancing Serum, not so much. And my hand size is lowered in the other one, so I'm good there as well. Ancient Stones could be relevant later on. 4 of 7 Doom, we crushed this scenario, like, real bad. Well, that's really annoying. Does it stop me? It stops me from doing this one, but I can just go over here and do this one instead, I think. Let's see what's happening with Mandy's evil card, though. That's also annoying, but not the worst in the world. We're going to take Amanda's turn first. We're going to see how it goes. I commit this. I double it. I commit this, putting me at 9-5 on this investigation check. I would really like to be one higher. I commit Blood Right to beat the -5. It wasn't necessary, but, like, it was totally necessary. I take both of these clues. And rather than sticking around and trying to clear out both of my weaknesses to beat this, I'm just going to leave. Walk here, walk here. I could discard a card to move faster. That doesn't seem worth, though. And next turn, we're going to test Book 4 with Practice Makes Perfect in the Red Blood Man to get to our last objective. We got the victory, that's what really counts. We don't need all 8, we only need 6. And also, needing 6 of 8 as opposed to 6 of 6 for full completion makes me much happier with how this entire scenario feels. Over here for Mandy, we don't actually have to kill these guys. So what I'm going to do instead is use this ley line on myself, not actually burn it and heal my leg injury as my first action, and then walk twice. Just so I can be over here to protect Amanda, give her the Eye of Truth. That just seems very reasonable to me. Enemy phase, they hunt. This man's still aloof. Upkeep phase. Shortcut's nice. Blood Right's also nice. We gotta toss something, it'll be Astounding Revelation. 5 of 7 Doom, and we're basically out of here. We're pretty much done. Yithian Presence again. Obscuring Fog on our location. We probably can't finish the scenario this turn. Dissonant Voices should be gone. I'm going to have Amanda walk in. We're going to play the Red Gloved Man. He's going to set our book and head to 6, which I've never changed since the last Red Gloved Man, hilariously. I'm going to play Practice Makes Perfect, search my top 9 for something that helps. There should be plenty of targets. Perception's our best hit. We double the Perception. That's 12-4. That's pretty solid. Cool. I'm going to draw 2 cards off the Perception. I'm going to mark this one. And that brings us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We befriended the Custodian. We've interviewed a subject. Realized what year it is. Activated the device. Dissected an organ, and found the process. I spend a clue to draw 2 cards. I'm over hand size, so 3. And over here on Mandy, I play Cryptic Research to draw 3 cards. I spend a clue to draw 3 cards. And we're over 10 or at 10 on both investigators. And that's it. We're done. That's the City of Archives. We didn't even get to the last agenda. We absolutely massacred it. That was gross. I wasn't expecting this scenario to be such a stomp. Like, I guess with Eyes of Truth and Red Gloved Men and skill-based Seekers, I should have. But it was so much worse than I thought it would be. I just kept forgetting to put Essence of the Dream in my hands. I don't know why. It's just like, oh, I'm not Amanda anymore, therefore I don't have Dream Diary. Which is not how it works. But this was a massacre. Let's see our resolution. R1. We got 6. The process was perfected. We all get 4 bonus experience. Let me double check there's nothing added to resolutions here, but I'm like certain there isn't. So we got 6. The process was perfected. We're going to get 4 bonus experience on everyone for that. Let's count up our victory display. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 4 bonus for 13 experience. That's kind of a lot. Anyway, the process did not backfire. And we don't have the tablets in the bag, so we don't get Alejandro's ending. We do have chalk, so we read The Way is Open and suffer no ill effects. We are not low on rations, so we're going to spend our 2 provisions. The poison would creep. We spend our last medicine to remove this poison weakness from Amanda's deck. Did we manage to afford blankets? We did. No additional trauma. Threads of Fate might have went really well for us. And that's it before Depths of Yacht. So I'm going to clean this board up, figure out what I'm doing with 13 experience, and I'll see you in the next one. I've been rather incoherent. I hope you've been enjoying the absolute stomp that is Seekers Only. Things were rough at the start, but they're getting to be real smooth these days. Anyway, if you like the series, then like, comment, subscribe, and you know the drill, and I'll see you in the next one.